Ready to dive into some stories.
Always up for a good story, yeah.
This time around, we're exploring Bookspotz. It's this collection of 39 fictional tales. But these aren't just any stories.
No, definitely not.
You know, you're someone who loves those mind-bending concepts, those aha moments that make you question everything.
That's what I live for, basically.
And these stories, they deliver. We're talking floating islands, musical apocalypses, cafes that serve memories, you name it.
Oh, I love that.
Like each story starts with this familiar premise, right?
Yeah.
But then, bam, there's this twist, this totally unexpected turn that makes you see the whole thing differently.
The best kind of story, for sure.
Exactly. So shall we jump right in?
Lead the way.
Let's start with Skies of Discovery. Even the title just pulls you in, doesn't it?
It does. I'd want to read that book.
You've got this classic adventure setup, hidden map, whispers of a lost civilization, and of course, a journey to a floating island.
Okay, I'm already hooked.
Right. And you can just picture these explorers so driven by this thirst for knowledge. They're convinced they're about to make some grand discovery. But as they quickly realize, that map, it's not just a guide. It's more like a warning.
Ooh, I like where this is going.
It's like what happens when our pursuit of the unknown, you know, that thing that's so deeply ingrained in us, leads us to some place we absolutely shouldn't be.
Always a good question.
Right. And as if that wasn't enough, their arrival, you know, it awakened something ancient and powerful, something that could either restore this island or unleash total chaos upon the world.
That's a lot of pressure to put on some explorers just looking for a good time.
No kidding. You know, it reminds me of that Rilke quote. If your daily life seems poor, do not blame it. Blame yourself that you're not poet enough to call forth its riches. It's like sometimes we're so busy chasing after what's new and exciting that we forget to look around and appreciate the wonders we already have, you know?
That is so true. I often think that.
And this idea of like fate versus free will, that pops up in another story, Symphony of Salvation.
Okay, this sounds really interesting. I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
Okay, so there's this bard, Alaric. His mission, prevent the apocalypse. But instead of wielding a sword or something,
Yeah.
his weapon of choice,
Yeah.
music.
Well, okay, I was not expecting that.
I know, right? He assembles this legendary orchestra, and they're literally playing for the fate of the world.
Wow, that's a high-stakes performance.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Now, you might think this is a classic good versus evil showdown, but there's this really cool twist.
There's always a twist. I'm ready. Hit me with it.
So, this dark figure they're up against,
Yeah.
it isn't just some obstacle to overcome. It becomes this, like, source of revelation for Alaric.
Okay.
He realizes the prophecy, it's not this fixed prediction, it's more like a challenge, you know, like a call to rise above their supposed destiny.
Oh, I see. So it's more about how they react to the prophecy than the prophecy itself.
Exactly. Yeah, it makes you think about the power of belief, right? Like, if we convince ourselves something's inevitable, we might unconsciously make choices that lead us straight to that outcome.
Wow. That's deep.
Alaric's story, it's like this challenge to question those assumptions about destiny. Like how much of our life is really predetermined versus what we have the power to change.
Now, that is a question I think about all the time. It makes you wonder about free will, doesn't it?
Right. And if that has you thinking, wait till you hear about Prophecy's Pursuit.
Oh, you've got to be kidding me. Okay, lay it on me. What's this one about?
Okay, so we've got Dr. Elowen Eris, this brilliant scholar, and she's on a quest to stop a god from being resurrected. We're talking deciphering ancient texts, hunting down powerful artifacts.
Sounds like a regular Tuesday.
Right. But here's where it gets wild. Dr. Eris, she discovers that she's the chosen vessel for this god's return.
Oh, no. Talk about irony.
Tell me about it. All her efforts to stop the prophecy, they actually set it in motion.
It's a chilling thought, isn't it? Like, sometimes even our best intentions can have consequences we never see coming.
And sometimes those consequences are huge. Absolutely. And that's what I love about these stories. They really make you think about those lines we draw, you know, ambition versus responsibility, knowledge versus ignorance.
The big questions.
The big questions, indeed. But, you know, as much as Prophecy's Pursuit makes you think about knowledge and its potential downsides, the bridge and unexpected adventures, it takes a different approach, a different kind of consequence.
Oh, tell me more.
So we meet Clara. She's at a bit of a crossroads, decides to seek some solace on a edge. Pretty symbolic, wouldn't you say?
Definitely. Bridges, transitions, new beginnings, all that.
Exactly. And it's there she meets Jake.
Okay, so who is Jake?
Right, so Jake is this free spirit, you know the type, lives life on his own terms. And he sees Clara, sees that she needs a push, encourages her to embrace the unknown.
I like him already.
Right. And their connection, it's almost instant. One of those moments that makes you believe in chance encounters. The magic of shared moments.
Those moments can be pretty powerful.
Totally. But just as their bond deepens, life throws a curveball. Jake gets news, forces him to leave. It's that bittersweet reality, the impermanence of life.
Life rarely goes according to plan.
Doesn't it? But here's the thing. Instead of falling apart, Clara, she chooses to honor their connection, embraces the adventure on her own terms.
There's always a choice.
Always. And sometimes those unexpected detours, they lead to the most profound growth.
Speaking of unexpected, the Memory Cafe. Now that title sounds intriguing.
Oh, it is. This one, it's about grief, loss, how we hold on to those we've loved and lost.
Okay, I'm listening.
So we have Lena. She's dealing with the death of her husband, Robert. She finds this, unusual cafe. Special brews, they allow you to relive memories.
Wow, that's a powerful concept.
It really is. And the cafe, it becomes this space to explore grief. You can almost feel the bittersweet nostalgia, the comfort of reconnecting with loved ones.
Yeah, but there's always two sides, right?
Always. And that's the dilemma the story explores. Can we truly move on if we're constantly tethered to the past?
It's a tough question. Holding on, letting go.
It is. So as Lena finds comfort in these memories, she meets Clara. Yes, another one.
Wait, what? Really? Another Clara?
I know. This Clara, though, she's like a guardian of memories. She reveals the cafe's true purpose. It's not just reliving the past. It's about learning to carry those memories in a way that allows for new experiences, new connections.
Finding that balance.
Exactly. And isn't that something we all grapple with? How do we honor the past without letting it overshadow our future?
That's a good question for another time, don't you think? There are still so many more stories to talk about.
Oh, you're right. And the Song of the Lighthouse.
Yeah.
That one just might have the answer, or at least another perspective.
Well, then let's hear it. What about this lighthouse?
So the Song of Lighthouse, it's about this reclusive lighthouse keeper, completely withdrawn from the world, suffering after a devastating loss.
Oh, I know the feeling.
And the setting, it's perfect. This solitary figure surrounded by this vast, unforgiving sea. It's like the lighthouse, a beacon of hope, becomes a symbol of his own isolation, wouldn't you say?
Wow. Yeah. The imagery is powerful.
Right. But then, like a small miracle, this wounded bird appears.
Oh.
Yeah, this tiny, fragile creature forces him to confront his solitude, reminds him that he's not alone in his pain,
I love that. It's like the universe sending help in the most unexpected way.
It is. And that idea of unexpected connection, we see it again and again in these stories, don't we?
Yeah.
Whether it's a chance encounter on a bridge or a wounded bird seeking shelter.
It makes you wonder what those moments are in your own life.
Doesn't it? And speaking of moments, The Painter's Promise, this one, it's about rediscovering passion, finding beauty in unexpected places. A bit like what we were just talking about.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
So we meet Max. He's this celebrated artist. Then he loses his sight. And with it, his inspiration, his whole world, really.
Oh, I can't imagine. That must be so difficult.
Right. But then Jasmine enters the picture. This vibrant young artist becomes his apprentice. But it's more than that. She becomes his eyes to the world.
Oh, wow.
Right. And their relationship, it's so beautiful, a true partnership. Jasmine, she helps Max experience the world anew. Not just through sight, but through her words, her unique way of seeing things.
What a beautiful partnership.
It really is. And then the exhibition. Their collaborative masterpiece is revealed. Max, he can't see it, of course, but he experiences it through touch.
I'm getting chills just thinking about it.
And he realizes the colors he imagined, they were just reflections of the world. They were like echoes of his deepest fears brought to life through this shared act of creation.
Art can be so powerful like that.
It can. A mirror to the soul. Now, from the world of art, we go to a place where imagination reigns supreme. The Library of Dreams.
Ooh, I love a good library.
This one's special. Imagine a town stuck in a rut, people yearning for something more. And then, poof, this extraordinary library appears, filled with books that transport you to worlds where your dreams become reality.
I never leave.
Our protagonist, Lucy, she finds this book, allows her to live out her dream of traveling the world.
Sounds amazing.
It is. But what's even more fascinating is how the library affects the entire town. People flock to it, seeking escape. But in the process, they rediscover their own creativity, reconnect with each other. It's like this reminder that we all have those dreams, right? The ones that feel just out of reach.
Absolutely. And sometimes we need a little push to go after them.
Exactly. The Whispering Willow Tree, it whispers a similar message.
Okay, what's the story with the willow tree?
So it's about this young girl. befriends this ancient willow tree, shares all her secrets, her hopes, anxieties. The willow, it becomes like this silent confidant, a symbol of wisdom, resilience. Years pass, she returns, and she finds this hidden book filled with entries from others who've also shared their dreams with the willow.
Wow, I wasn't expecting that.
Right. It's a beautiful reminder, I think, that our experiences, even the small ones, they matter. We leave a mark on the world,
We're all connected.
Exactly. And speaking of connections that transcend time, The Ghost of Thornhill Manor takes us on a journey through history, mystery, and a touch of romance.
Okay, now you're speaking my language. Ghosts and romance. Sign me up.
Right. So we have Emma. She moves into this old mansion, full of secrets, naturally. She's drawn to this locked attic, and guess what she finds?
Ooh, let me guess. A ghost.
Well, sort of. She uncovers this tragic love story. Isabella and Thomas, forever bound to the mansion by a curse.
Oh, no. Poor thing.
But here's the twist. Emma discovers she's not just an observer. She's been chosen to break the curse. But there's a catch. Doing so, it'll bind her to the mansion too.
Oh, wow. So she has a big decision to make.
A huge decision. It makes you think about the weight of the past, doesn't it? How choices made generations ago can echo through time.
It really makes you think.
It does. Now, for the haunting halls of Thornhill Manor, we shift to a world where memories themselves are a commodity in the memory collector.
A commodity, like they're being bought and sold.
Exactly. It raises some pretty big questions about the nature of experience. What happens when we commodify emotions? Our joys, our sorrows, all up for grabs.
That's a chilling thought.
Isn't it? We meet Noah, a struggling artist. He's offered this chance to create a masterpiece by capturing a woman's painful memory. And he's torn. His ambition versus the ethics of profiting from someone else's pain.
That's a tough one. What would you even do in that situation?
Right. And it speaks to this larger dilemma, I think. In a world driven by technology, profit, where do we draw the line? When does innovation become exploitation?
So the questions, man.
Right. And speaking of lines, The Sunken City of Thalassia explores the balance between progress and tradition.
Okay, this one sounds interesting.
It is. So there's this young prince. On a quest to save his kingdom, he stumbles upon this hidden underwater city, Thalassia. It's a place of ancient wisdom, harmony, a stark contrast to the world above.
So what happens?
It becomes this powerful symbol, a reminder to respect different cultures, to understand that progress doesn't have to come at the cost of destroying the natural world or each other.
We could all learn a lesson from that, that's for sure.
Couldn't we? And, looking back at all these stories, the connections, the consequences, the weight of the past, they offer so much to unpack, don't they? They challenge us to think about the choices we make, the impact we have on the world around us.
Absolutely. And it's not just about the big life-altering decisions, right? It's the small moments, too. The ones we might not even think twice about.
Exactly. It's about embracing the unknown, those twists and turns that make up our own stories. Just like the characters in Bookspotz, we're all on a journey. And while we might not always know the destination, it's those unexpected detours that often lead to the most incredible discoveries.
You know what? You're right. And sometimes the best we can do is to just enjoy the ride, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Enjoy the ride.